Hello and welcome to The Root of All Real Estate. I'm your host, Etienne Mellor, owner of 3 real estate agencies with 20 plus years of experience generating over 20 million in yearly gross revenue. I'm very happy to have you join us today. Whether you're a seasoned real estate agent, a business owner, a first-time home buyer, or just curious about the latest market trends, we've got something for everyone. Now let's get started.
You're listening to The Root of All Real Estate with Meghan O'Donnell.
2008?
Yeah, 2008.
So full license?
So 2008 full license, and I got the commercial also at the same time, which was a big bonus.
It's a tough year though, 2008. At least
it was the worst
the economy
year to
is not doing that well. Before that, I didn't ask you off camera, but before that, were you?
Customer service, Bell, TELUS, always interacting and helping people.
And
that
what,
was my thing.
You knew someone in real estate?
No, my goal was exactly what everybody else's goal is I want to manage my schedule, I want to be in charge of my stuff, and I want to, I had this great idea that I was going to be, in charge of my life, which I, found out really soon after that it's not the case. You really have to hustle. So
it's actually worse.
It's the worst.
Worse
yeah.
Than to be an employee, because now you're both. You're the employee, and you're the actual.
And you have to answer to yourself, and then you can put that aside if you want to.
It's too easy to just say, No.
And I was thinking about that coming in, like the banners everywhere. You get offered, your weekly meeting and some trainings and stuff like that, but it's all voluntary. If you want to show, you show, and if you don't, you don't. So I think that's
so there's
difficult.
the battle of the voices inside, and that's like, you know what, it's a nice day, you deserve it. Why don't you just stay home and enjoy the weather?
I did an open house yesterday. I can take Monday off,
I'm working hard, even though the results aren't there. I deserve a break. Okay, so 2008, you jump in.
Jump in at Sutton in Westmount.
Reality was different than what you had imagined, but you still.
I had no idea the amount of work it was going to take to obtain clients, and when I started and I realized I actually had to, attach myself to other people to be able to advance, because
to facilitate.
Yeah, exactly. There's I don't think that any broker can just come in, start, and just do their pathway alone. I don't think that works.
So you had I was going to say the privilege to work with some famous,
and it was
very
fun.
Successful brokers.
And it was funny because I didn't know who I was talking
Prior
to exactly.
Yeah.
So then like, oh well, this guy is rolling, and Martin Rouleau was the first broker that I started doing his open houses, always very helpful. And when I realized that, I was like, oh well, I can do a lot of people's, open houses. So I worked with buyers for, the first 4 or 5 years.
To get the ball going. Then you jumped into property manager. Or is this happening at the same time?
So what happened is, when I started, I didn't realize how important follow-ups were.
I keep saying to the team, follow-ups is where it's all happening. Yeah. It's funny because we don't talk about that. No. We say follow-up, but what does that actually mean? I keep giving examples in a visual way, a tangible way of where it took multiple communications or follow-ups before the person even responded. Yeah. That sorry, I was busy. So you came to quickly realize. It's all there.
You call your client after the open house. Would you like to visit? Oh, I'm busy this weekend. Okay, and then
that's if they answer.
And then after that, I'm like, okay, well, she's busy this weekend, and then I just don't follow up. And all my first sales. Like if I look back in the first 5 years of sales, I never followed up with anybody. I could actually call them now, and they know who I was, but. Where have you been for the last 15 years, But
I was the same when I started.
You get your listings like that.
You can still make it in the sense of, but the return, I calculated about a 2% conversion. Yeah. To 1 to 2% on, like with one attempt or one communication or one something. When you increase the number of follow-ups, the higher the return. You can get up to 80% now conversion. So the same effort is what I'm trying to say, or the same initial contact. Between 1 or 2% to 80 if you're 12 plus, 24 plus communications or follow-ups. Yeah. And you heard me right, 12, 24, 36.
It's unbelievable.
we use a CRM, we have all the data where every time we do a communication, a lot of it is in the 30s, the 50s times before someone says, oh yeah, I was, you know, I couldn't respond, or I didn't think of it, or I was busy, or I was sick, or I was on vacation, or whatever.
But I think when you're doing those follow-ups, you don't have the confidence to say, hey,
that's a good point.
I'm worthy of taking your time right now, and I can offer you something.
I have something of value to offer you.
Exactly.
My intention is good.
Exactly.
I say this to the team all the time. Is our intention good?
Yeah.
Then if it is, keep going. It's like, I think having kids helps to understand that, in the sense of, I'm not going to let my son or my daughter or my young kid decide on what they're going to eat and when they're going to go to bed, when it's time to nap, or, you know, because I know what's best. Now, they're going to argue back or fight or cry, or, you know, but it's the same with a client.
But they're not going to win, because you know better.
Because my intention is good.
Yeah.
I might make a bad decision.
Yes.
But deep down, I'm not doing it to hurt the person. I'm doing it because I believe that I can add value or can help.
Yeah, and I think that confidence comes with, you know, with time. So I understand why I wasn't doing the follow-ups, and, you know, once, because of that, my wheel wasn't turning. It was just like always the next deal. So things weren't turning, and I had to evolve. You know, you have to make money. I love the industry. I kept my license. I was approached by a property management company in the goal to refer deals through, you know, for them to give me deals, and then, you know, to manage the property at the same time, so everybody was benefiting from it.
Yeah, because you saw that as, okay, it's going to be some kind of source of revenue.
For sure.
It's going to lead to more business or opportunities for the real estate for the brokerage side of things. So it makes sense.
It was win-win, and at the end, nothing, well, it's not true, but in the real estate world, you know, I didn't make any transactions because of it, but the experience that I acquired, the learning that I was managing 12 buildings at one point, and we're talking, you know, big buildings in Westmount, and you're just learning.
Well, maybe you did indirectly too. You know,
of course.
Sometimes you don't necessarily know where the source of the business comes from, but I understand what you mean. It wasn't quantifiable.
No, it wasn't. But for me, what I gained from that was, it was an amazing experience managing, you know, the superintendents of the building, and managing the doormen, and managing, you know, the co-owners. Never mind. You know, but co-owners is a thing to manage. You know.
So this gave you or increased your database quite substantially, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Did you at that time work the database or understand what that even meant, in the sense of the relationship of keeping in touch? And
I didn't. I still didn't, because I still didn't have the confidence. Again, I was dealing with people in Westmount. You know, I was, how old was I? I mean, I must have been 30 at the time, with, you know, 2-3 years of real estate under my belt, and it's very intimidating. I get intimidated. I don't want to ever come off as pushy or you know, putting pressure on people. I would slip, you know, once in a while the word, and I did end up getting actually a nice listing. My first $1 million listing was at the Belmont. So that was, you know.
That's exciting.
It was very exciting. And that went really well. And as that went on, I realized, okay, I really do want to do the real estate. She sold her company, and we ended up opening our own company and kind of picking up some of the buildings.
Which I'm
still, you know, silent partner. So I mean, that's I'm always a reference in that company, and it's I love that. Like, I love that so much. If I could, I would do property management in another life, you know.
Yeah.
But
is the property management only for certain buildings, or it could be for particulars that have a condo here and there? Because that's hard to find.
Yeah.
You know, I get the question all the time.
I was able to bring that out, right? So the company we had was really just for the buildings and stuff like that. But, you know, now with my business, I have clients who I manage their apartments for rent. I do everything from top to bottom.
And would you do that? Someone's watching. They're not necessarily your direct.
For sure, absolutely,
that's good
absolutely. To know. It's you know, that's what's nice, is that it's fluid. You know, it all kind of interlocks with each other. And then I discovered the new condo building market. Again, I was approached by a friend of mine who was working for a company that was in Toronto, Baker Immobilier.
Yes.
I did a few buildings for them. So I did the Peterson, we did a whole bunch of buildings. And then I had a child. So then everything kind of stopped.
That's going to change.
Yeah, that's just like you're not running around anymore as much. And I was, during my maternity or afterwards, I was wondering, what do I do? Like, I can't just start up my business again, Like, I was like, okay, I'll go back into management. But then I was just kind of like, oh.
Do I want to go back?
Meetings and just people complaining all the time. And I wasn't feeling it. But because the new condo market, real estate brokers in Montreal is very small. There's not a lot of brokers who want to sit like a duck and wait for people to come in. I was approached by that Tour de Canadien too. That was a ride of a lifetime. I have shivers just talking about it. It was just amazing.
Let's talk about that.
It was amazing.
How was it amazing? What was it that made it?
Just the vision, the people that were there, and it was so big, and the vision that they had, and all these, everything that they were bringing to the table to make it so that we had this explosive launch. All the little tricks and the administration staff, everybody was ready, and we were 4 on the sales team, and it was just like, it was exhilarating. It was such a high. It was 3 months. We sold 500 condos. We had to add 2 floors.
What year is this? Like
2015. It was so much of a high that when we were done, I think I locked myself in the room for like 2 months. It was so high. It was.
It's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat.
Doing that kind of.
What do you do after that?
Yeah.
Right? And because the demand was so high, we were only expecting to launch the 3rd tower in 2020, but we launched it in 2018. It had the same impact, except the difference is that the 2nd tower, the people that were buying were people who had missed out on the 1st tower.
So there was a sense of urgency.
So there was a real big sense of urgency, and there was a lot of Quebecers, there was a lot of locals that were buying into it, and it was great. The 3rd tower, then we became a little bit more, it was a bit more diluted.
I was just going to say, because around that time, there was way more many different projects.
A lot.
There was like a little boom.
Yeah. In between, and then when we launched the 3rd, we actually launched at the same time as the Seville the Charlotte in Griffintown. And we couldn't believe that the Charlotte was doing, they had lineups.
But it's kind of a different.
Exactly, but we launched like the same weekend or something like that. So we had brokers that had like their partner broker down there and their brokers up here, and it was like we weren't that important anymore, And they had even thought of maybe doing a 4th tower, but they called off on that. Yeah. It wasn't enough demand with the 3rd tower.
Well, I think it's a good idea, because then after that we know what happened with the market.
Exactly.
One thing I do every week is I present the new listings of the week that we have at our agency, but I also give numbers on new listings for the last week that got on the market in Montreal.
Right.
And the condo market, where I'm going with this is that the condo market for the last 3, 4, 5 months, it's in the 600-700 new listings per week. That's huge.
It's too much.
It's, I think, an opportunity for anybody looking if they're considering condo purchases. Although prices are still high, but I'm sure I know there's more opportunities in there compared to the single-family dwellings.
Listen, the numbers that we were projecting for resale profit value over when we were selling them, even for rental costs over the 5 years, we're not anywhere near that, and because of COVID, everything stopped. And now we don't have the foreign investors. So I keep telling people, anybody who wants to buy a condo right now, do it, because it will pick back up, because there's no new condo buildings that are launching.
No.
In fact, the 4th that was supposed to launch is launching, but it's going to be a rental building. So, and we're talking like, $4, $5, $6 a square foot, So it's very expensive. It's luxurious rental, but there's no condo launches. No. I know, a lot of people have lots downtown that are owned specifically to launch, but they're holding off.
And we know that, and everybody knows through the media, that there's lack of inventory for the growth of the population. We're not even close. So for the next, I don't know, 5-10 years,
I'd say so too.
it's still going to be an interesting market.
And
for
they're
sellers.
not making, like, even the people that are selling, they're not selling much more than they bought.
No.
You know, especially in the last, let's say, you know, since 2018, people who purchased.
Different areas, different buildings, you're right.
Yeah.
I did a CMA for someone I know not too long ago. I said, no, hold on, don't sell now, you're not going to make any money.
No.
Let's talk about now. Let's talk about you now in the sense of what's your main challenge, if any. Like you talked about the exciting launch of the second. This is what, 2015 you said?
Yeah, 15.
You know, we're almost 10 years later.
I know.
What keeps you driven and motivated? And
during COVID, I was working on a project in Laval, and I was like, this is not working.
In what regards?
People are buying, you know, and you have a super product and it wasn't buying, and I was like, I need to change. I need to join a team. I was never somebody who could work alone, obviously, but that's when I met a few teams, and I met Jean-Sébastien Boiteau, and it was a nice little boutique agency in Lorraine, which was great, and I started there thinking, you know, I'm going to be, it's French market.
Well, there's some
it's
85%
but
yes,
French.
It's more mainly compared to West.
I was working, yes, of course, and the people I was working with were French. So, and I perfectly bilingual, but you know, there's also a different language jargon when you're speaking French real estate.
Yes.
So I thought I was going to just be in the background doing my thing, you know, but I guess my work ethic and my wanting to make things better. I'm the director of sales for Boiteau Immobilier. For 2 years, it's been really hell. I've been trying to build a team, trying to find brokers, trying to get clones.
Yes. So that's the challenge?
It was the challenge. But once we're 4 now, 5, and I stopped looking out. And I was like, okay, look inside. And the challenge was always trying to teach brokers the right way to do things and wanting it more than they did. So much energy spent on that. Yeah. Until one day I'm like, man, I want it more than you do for you. Like, I'm going to put that on me and I'm going to build me, you know, or what I have that's working. But why would I do that? And then I just kind of had this realization. I'm like, okay, we had this great member who joined our team in March, and there's Victoria who works with me, Meghan, and Jean-Sébastien, myself, and it just works. You know, it's strong. We have a good foundation, and for the last 2 years, because I was trying to build this, I was acquiring all this knowledge, and I didn't know where to put it. But now all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you know, the plate's empty, and I can just and they're just all the information is fitting in. So now it's just applying it and, you know, bringing that.
But are you not thinking about, well, what if this member changes her mind, or he changes his mind, or their life situation changes? Because more and more, from my experience anyways, it's less the commitments from everybody, from when we talk about employer-employee relations or team leader to team member. More and more, it's I don't want to be tied down too long. Like it's just the world we live in. And so for me, my thinking is I always have to be looking for someone else, because I know that this person is not going to be here forever. And even 2 years seems like a 20 when I look back at when I started, you know, 23, 5 years ago. And it wasn't rare to see an employee or a team member 10 years, 20 years what the team needed. Today, 2 years is like exceptional. It's so. Is that not something that needs to be considered, thought about, or
yes and no, in the sense that because we're 4 of us, we're building something. The intentions are there. Everything is good. There is that possibility, but again, I can't spend my time worrying what's outside my circle. My circle right now is what I have. And at the end of the day, if he does, I'll adapt. And I think that my idea of team has also changed a little bit, you know?
Like what?
I guess for the way I do things and the way I you know, my market is small. There's 4,000 houses in Lorraine. Obviously, we're trying to expand, and that's the goal. So the person that we have, Meghan, we'd like to open up a Laval. We'd like to open up
because really there's nothing that's holding you or should hold you back to a geographical.
No, absolutely. And
today,
the notoriety that comes with the name Boiteau is always in Lorraine. So yes, that'll always be our area, but we do want to expand. But I don't know, I just feel like I've spent so much energy with people that were always not, it just wasn't a fit, that I have to work with what I have right now. The idea of having a huge team where it's self-sufficient, then I need to grow this right now so that can evolve into other people. I think that we're at a stage where it's new, it's working well, and we need to focus on that, and it'll get to that eventually. But for me in my career right now, I'm really happy. Things are going well. I have such a great experience. I feel like I have that confidence where I can call that client and be like, I'm bringing you tools and I want to help you, and it's well received. That I feel like for now that's good enough.
So someone watching thinking, I would like to start my team. I'm thinking about it. What would you say to them to get them maybe to have that nudge to do it, to jump? Is there a place or a time for it?
I think it's when you get to a point where you're doing your administration, you're doing your visits, you're doing your inspections, you're doing everything, and there's no work-life balance. Then yes, then you can start thinking of partnering up. But a team, I realize, you got to hire slow and fire fast. And hire slow, I even met with somebody, and I'm not sure if you were there, but we were introduced at somebody at the mastermind, how he took 6 months to hire somebody.
Yes, I think that was with Wasim.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So to clarify, we have a group of brokers. We get together. I don't even know who started it. I think it's François, probably.
Yeah.
François is the original.
That's right.
But anyways, all that to say, we had I forget the name of the person.
A guest who came in who was specialized in that, and that really marked me because I was hiring fast and I was firing slow.
I think we all do because we fight the idea that we can't change the person, and I'm gonna do my, like you said, I'm gonna give it my all to the point where you want it more than them. But you come to that conclusion.
That was a
but it's always
point.
Going to be hard.
Of course, it's always going to be hard. But I feel that people who want to start the team, they need to have the volume to be able to do it. And I feel like somebody who's looking to join a team has to know that you're joining a team, so that means you're not alone. So that means you're sharing, your compensation. You're sharing everything, including, it's give and take.
I guess it depends too on the type of team model, because there's also the idea for me of because you said it earlier, or at least that's what I understood. The idea of not working by myself. When I was a real estate broker, I felt it was a lonely,
so isolating,
day-to-day kind of a thing. My ex-wife used to say, "Well, why do you say that? Like you're meeting clients." And but I'm by myself with that objective. I'm by myself in the struggles or the challenges or the wins.
Yeah,
I can't celebrate anything.
Right?
I'm by myself.
Yeah.
So and that's why I got into to owning agencies, and because now I'm doing it with my team, with the brokers, but also with my employees.
Yeah.
It's a fun feeling. But the point is, where I was going is, you could have a team where you don't necessarily have the business, but it's like just a group of individual, a community, where we're all aiming to succeed together, and it's maybe going to help us get motivated or accountable to, we're meeting every day, every Tuesday, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're here, it's because you're taking your career seriously. Etienne Mellor will help you get to that next level as long as you're willing to do the work to be able to get there. Now, whether you're a divorced person, whether you're retired, whether you just started out, you might be young, you might not think that you have what it takes to get to the next level, there's something here for everybody. So he'll take the time to show you the ropes, looking at it not as a teacher versus a student, but more as a partnership. And by doing that, you'll be able to get the results that you're looking for. He's always hands-on. He's always willing to do the work and to show you how it's supposed to be done. So it's not an opportunity that will last forever. Take the time, click below, fill out the form. Follow us and find out how we could be instrumental in your success.
Yeah, to hold yourself accountable, for sure. I think, if you're part of an agency and you're able to do that with some of the brokers and just give yourself that feeling of belonging, I think that's good. But what my point is that if you're joining a team and, there is, a split of some sort,
yes.
and you're like, well, why am I not getting everything? At the end of the day, if I had to think to myself, everything I did today, I didn't get paid for it, well, I don't want to be part of it, then I'm in the wrong business. Because for me, it's the feeling of just that feeling, like when you have a win, or when you had a good a meeting with your team members, or where you learned something that, you never, it's so, how can I say, there's not one transaction that's the same. So people can bring things to the table that you can never.
And nothing of greatness was done by one person.
No.
And so I think you also get to a point where it's no longer about just your results and what you've done, but the collective of, look at what we did, and that's a great feeling. The money part, I mean, I'd rather have a small something multiple times.
Volume.
And with different people and
experiences
than to just have more but be by myself. And but that's a mindset thing. It's a personality thing.
But
and
again,
it can change.
If you're starting, you're always thinking, oh, I got to close this client, that check, that $5,000, that 10 grand, that 20 grand, whatever it is, I got to close it. And your mind is on that, but you're not going through this. And I think at the end of the day, it's the same thing as joining a team. Your mind is on, oh, well, I'm going to get more buyers, I'm going to get more clients, I'm going to make more money. But if people could come into it and just remove the financial aspect, yes, we're all going to get paid. We're all going to get paid.
But that comes with experience and life experience too, because
it's
you realize
hard to teach that.
It's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Nothing great was built in 1 year, 3 months, 5 years. It's all 20 plus. Well, it doesn't have to be 20, but if we look at, I like to study the super successful businesses and see, and every time I read about how they started and how long ago, I'm blown away. Like you read, I thought, Walmart was not that old of a company, but it started back in 1962 or some 1958. Or so you see how long it took for the momentum or for the brand recognition. It's the same
consistency, right? You need to be consistent, and I think that it's you said it, it's a mindset. And if you're able to just remove the payday out of it, you're going to have so much more fun with it, and you're going to get so much more out of it, because the pay is good. It pays for things, but
pay is temporary. Money is temporary. It is.
Yeah, I'm only as good as my last sale.
And when you look at, you talked about the team and the environment and all that. I for me today, maybe because I'm older now, but I'm 48. The people I'm around, the energy, the positivity, becomes even more important than the money.
For sure.
Now, some might say, well, yeah, but you already have some type of financial success and all that. But no, I'm telling you, I'm willing to get rid of someone that's very high performing, giving me a lot of money for just the fact that I want to go and be surrounded by positive energy and fun people. And
for sure. I mean, there's a broker that is no longer on our team, and I mean, he's rolling, and I have absolutely no regrets because of the energy that was bringing into the office and how I felt after I spoke to them, or if I was about. It was,
we have a limited amount. Well, maybe it's an age thing too. I don't know. Maybe. I conserve more, but I need my sleep. But I need to maintain a certain energy. I do have 700 kids, so that too. But I don't want people to take away all this energy that's harder to do as I get older.
Right? I mean, because it takes an effort. It takes an effort to get up in the morning, to get everybody up and going, and then you have to start your day. I mean, you've already done half a day by the time you're starting your day.
And we talked about it before, I think we started recording, but the self-employed, the what it requires to push yourself through and to just do the things that we need to do every day.
Not everybody's an entrepreneur, because if they were, they wouldn't necessarily be in real estate. They'd be starting their own businesses, and I feel like brokers are starting younger and younger. I don't know if it's me or maybe I'm getting older. But
so when I started in 2001-ish,
yeah.
the average age of a real estate broker in Quebec was 56 years old.
Holy cow.
Last time I checked, which is a few years ago, it was 36.
Wow.
So that's quite a like a 20. It's probably younger now today.
For sure it is. And I mean, like you know, at Sutton, all the brokers that were there when I was there, whoever's still alive is still there, like that loyalty, the older mentality, they're still there. Whereas now the brokers will go from one place to another and there's no consistency. So they're not gaining, I feel there's maybe a lack of gaining of trust and loyalty to be able to I'm in the right spot.
And because I was talking to a young broker yesterday. She just started not that long ago, but she's young too. She's 23, if I remember correctly. And I said, if you don't quit for 25 years, you become an expert.
That's right.
You don't have to be the best or the most knowledgeable or the whatever, but if you don't quit by default after a certain amount of time, and now it's easier because there's more and more people that quit quicker.
Yes.
Then you become the specialist or the expert or the PhD.
Yes.
And then you can ask for more money.
Yes.
When you talk or do talks or present or do anything, you come with some greater.
So you become the referral.
The not quitting part is easy. Well, easy. It's so easy that it's hard to just say, okay, look. So I was telling her, look, just do not, because I said, how many times have you thought of quitting? And it's only been like a few months.
Right.
She says, oh, many times. I said, hang in there for the first 3-4 years.
Yeah.
After that, 87% will have quit already. You're in the top 15-20% of.
That's right.
And that becomes momentum, something to use.
Of course, your wheel is turning. When I started, Joseph Montanaro and I were in the same class. We had no idea who he was, He was an architect and he was starting this thing and it was great and he was, And there's another guy also who's in my class, but there's 3 of us out of that class that are still brokers. And I mean, there was, 40 of us?
Oh, yeah. There's not too many left after 10, 15, 20 plus years. You spoke about getting into real estate, but I didn't ask you. I got into real estate, but I couldn't care less about houses or architecture or... For me, it was the business side of things. And that's why I guess I own an agency now and I'm not on the... A lot of people come in with they like visiting homes, nice homes. That's the appeal, I should say, not they like.
Yeah.
Was that for you something? Because you said earlier, you said it's about the self-employed, managing my schedule.
So I had this great idea that I was going to be my own boss and I was going to manage my time and I was going to, manage everything. And I had no experience. I mean, I have a high school experience. I stopped after high school. I did a couple of, a year of CJIP and I never followed through. So I was never somebody who could fit into that box. And I figured, okay, I'll make my own box and I'll do it, but the main drive for me has always been helping people. It's always been connecting people. I'm somebody who needs to be with people. So between that and managing my own schedule and doing whatever I wanted.
So none of the architectural stuff for the...
It came when I did the property management. That's when I started, like the building, how it works, and risers, and they bring the hot water up, and
It's interesting, but you're not passionate necessarily about it.
No, I'm passionate about the people.
So anybody watching now, my point is, you don't have to be passionate about. At some point, I was considering getting into other businesses, and then about 2015-ish, I'm like, okay, what else could I do? What other business in that? To realize that, wait a second, that I'd be in the coffee business or any other type of business. It's the same principles.
It's the same principles.
So why would I let go of what I've accumulated in experience on the technical side of real estate? To go start a new business, and so... No,
and what you've built is admirable, to see from the outside, because, you were around when I was starting, and I mean, Mario Von Paint, and everybody was there, and I don't think anybody knew where anybody was going, but to see how far you've come and what you're bringing to the real estate industry, the brokers that are coming out of your office, thank you for staying in it.
That's very nice of you to say. I'll take that compliment. I rarely do.
Thank you, because you may not have a passion for the brokerage, but the business aspect.
It sounds bad.
No, I don't mean to say it like that. But the business aspect that you're bringing into the real estate industry is making it a norm that shouldn't have the standards should be starting there.
Well, for me, it was. When I got into my early 30s, I was kind of fed up of the day-to-day of a real estate broker, and I was looking for how can I have more of a business and not less of a salesperson.
Yeah.
Because when you think of it, really, if you're one agent broker working by yourself, you're doing everything. It's not a business.
No.
You're a full-time employee doing everything. Yeah. And so I wanted to try to figure out how can I be a broker but have a business as a broker so that I can have a better quality of life. And that's really how it transitioned into what it is today. And that's really what motivates me.
But the ability, I think, the ability to be flexible and not just say, okay, I have to go and sell, houses and this is all that I do. When I came to a point I had to go into, management, property management, or go into new condos. Like I had no really direction of but I was trying things to see what would work, and I think that to take away, because you said it before, like we have to take away just the stigma that, you have to kind of work it so that it works for you.
And try things and see like what do I enjoy the most
for sure
doing, and that's also why I think earlier I had another guest, if you want, and I was saying the bigger I get, the happier I become because I can focus on things that I really like to do.
Because you can delegate.
But it's kind of the opposite of what you hear. People say, no, stay small. You don't want the big problems. You don't want that many employees, or you don't want, because it's going to complicate things. But I find it's the complete opposite.
Well, because you're building your whole platform at the same time. You're not just going up alone.
And then, there's redundancies, so that if something bad happens, there's no worries. It's still there's someone there.
Of course. The goal is to, to just lift and go up all together, and then that's when you can delegate, and then you can pick and choose.
So that's what was your drive to get into more of a team dynamic.
For sure. And, it got to a point where 2 years ago, I was so busy that, I was never home. Because I was just on full on, I need to make sales, I need to make money, and I really, and some of the people were leaving and everything like that. So I was becoming the main driver, and I nearly burnt myself out, but, now I'm able to delegate.
Let's talk about, it makes me think of using the technology that's available today. So there's a lot of automation that could be used, that I find that pretty much no one in real estate uses.
Yeah.
All right. Do you study that? Look at that?
I tried.
Strive to find ways to. Hey, how can I automate this or that?
It's been 2 years of doing that. So what I did is I came to the conclusion that no matter what I was trying to do, I needed a structure. And without the structure, you're not going to get anywhere because you're just all over the place. And to be able to refine everything and have a structure, a procedure for everything. Is now working so well. I have a coach. That coach coaches me on structure, not on sales, not on, yes, I get, but
structure and like time management,
structure,
allocation,
time management, what to delegate,
right? Okay.
Instead of, doing your calls, hire a telemarketer, $15 an hour, you've got somebody and somebody's doing your calls, just to kind of make it so that you're using your strengths when they're needed, as opposed to being used, I'm not really good at doing certain things, for administration, like anybody who's watching, they're, Catherine or Victoria at the office would be laughing their asses off, they're like, sign here, do this.
And it's not just not good at, it's also I don't enjoy it.
But it takes so much more space in my head to do it.
Right.
So I don't have that space, So to know what your strengths are and to exploit them, and then to surround yourself with like-minded people and to bring out their strengths. Meghan is excellent at Excel. I can't use Excel. I've lied before. I've said I can do Excel. I can't do it.
There's always going to be someone that's going to have it's not a specialty, but that will have worked with that tool more than
the strengths.
And so why force it unless you enjoy it and you want to develop it? That's a different story.
Absolutely, no.
But automation, what I was always thinking about was, well, how did the big companies do what they do on a much more massive scale? It's not just a question of hiring people. They do have more people, yes, but their volume of output is way more than 1 or 2 or 20 employees can manage. So what is it that they do? That's how my brain works.
Yeah, no, but it's...
And how do I take that and apply it in my day-to-day as a broker?
It's finding those tools, you know, like, I mean, I'll go to conferences, I'll do masterminds with you guys. Like, I really want to exploit all the possibilities. You know, obviously AI is getting really big, and I mean,
Huge.
brokers who are not jumping on that boat, like, they're going to miss the boat. It doesn't mean that your whole business has to be AI, you know, but I mean, it's to use it when you need it, you know.
And to not be stubborn and to fight it and to say, well, I don't have time to learn, because that's going to catch up fast.
Of course.
And you're going to be out of a position.
I remember when Matrix changed to Centric, like...
No, Edgar.
Edgar, thank you.
Edgar,
yes, Edgar.
became, so no one's going to know what that is.
And we had to go from paper binders, you know, with our listings to having it online. And we're like, we're never going to use that. Never, never, never. But then by the time we got there, it was, you know, it was like, oh man,
there was a big group of brokers resisting that Matrix, because it was a new platform. It seems complicated
Edgar,
for the...
Oh my God. Yes. No, but I mean, you can't... That's the trick is to be fluid, to be flexible, to evolve, and to really, you know, maximize the amount of information that you can try and get your hands on, and then take what works for you, you know.
And this leads me to social media, because social media is still a big component that's not being used by the vast majority of brokers, even top brokers. Because I do a lot of my own research.
My hat is off to you for your social media.
But the reason is that, again, I'm not going to take no. It's not me. I'm not that intelligent. I just study people in other industries and then say, well, what are they doing and how, why, and then I apply. But my point is, my question is, how important is it for you, or is it even an integral part or a big part of your day to day?
I'll be honest with you, I work a lot in a French world, and I have a lot of difficulty going on camera and doing that.
But why French if you're...
No, so this is what I'm saying. So now I'm working on developing the English side of the boiteau, you know. That's the goal now. I'm always, you know, I'm shy. I'm not somebody who likes to be the first. I just don't like to be, you know, I don't like to be, I'm good, you know. I don't need to be the front person, you know. But I believe there's a fine line. There's a fine line between ego, and there's a fine line between educating people on social media. So is it, you know, the broker who's going on and, oh, this is what I wore on Friday night, versus, you know, here's the tool for the first time buyer, do this, that all in.
It's, do I have something of value that I believe, and my intention is to help?
Yeah.
And can I help? I always feel like my obligation, my duty is to share what I know that I believe works or worked or is working to give me more opportunities or better my life.
Yeah.
And if the recipient of the message is not liking it, that's on them.
Yes.
Because my intention is good. I was with Christopher Saladar. I don't know if I went to see him this week for one of his podcasts, and I told him, I said, you know, you posted, because he posts a lot on his stories when he goes to the gym.
Right.
And for me, it was a motivation. Every time I saw him at the gym, I'm like, why am I not doing it? Like, because I wasn't consistent.
Yeah.
And I got to do it. He's doing it. I'm going to do it. And so I told him, I said, you know, you post this, and it's not for you to brag about you're going to the gym. It's about, in my opinion, it's about trying to motivate or encourage other people to be like, I'm doing it, you can do it too. And it worked. It did that for me. And so, and then he appreciated that I actually told him this, because he says, I was debating or thinking or talking to myself, like, should I stop doing this? Like, it's kind of stupid that I'm posting this all the time. And so I think social, if you use it with the right intention of not being superficial, not scripting things. If you see my content and you meet me, it's the same thing. It's not like, he's completely different. Or I don't want scripts. Like, I fight with these guys all the time about scripts, and I'm like, no. I want to just, and that's why I like lives too. Like, just turn the camera on and let me be who I am.
It's real. But I feel like, you know, I try to follow as many people as possible. I would say really 50-50. There's 50% content that's really, really interesting, motivating, mindset that makes me want to do better. And then there's other content where I'm like, why are you doing this? I'm not being judgmental. I just feel that we have so many eyes on us as a real estate broker. We get so, they're so severe with us and with the media and everything. And there is a big part of us that are doing well and want to offer tools to people. But then you've got, so I'm double-minded about it.
I'm going to say that, and I'm going to think that the group that you said, the ones that you're thinking, why?
Yeah.
I'm going to look at the positive here.
Good.
I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to
Please.
say, look, they may be trying things out.
Yeah.
It could be awkward when you try new things,
You're right.
and you can stumble, and
You're right.
And once you put it up, you put it up. Now, but I know what you mean, that there's some that are maybe pretending and lying, and that's going to catch up.
And I don't want to sound blasé. I don't want to sound like I know everything or whatever. I have a difficult time putting myself in that situation, and I just want to be able to maximize it without being judged for what I'm doing. I think maybe that's why I haven't jumped on, because I'm worried about how the message will come across.
But I think that you have so much to offer, and anyone that that has something to offer, I think, is to do it.
Yes.
And because also your clients, but not just the client, the people from the industry may follow with.
Right.
That's a good example, and I like this person. And one of the main reasons why I started doing it is that every time I met someone before social, and they really got to know me for who I really am, they. Unless they were lying, but I doubt it. But they'd say, I really like your personality. I really liked your energy, and I didn't know you were like that and all that. And then I started thinking or realizing that with social, I can put myself out there and maybe attract the type of people that will enjoy my personality and who I am. And it's going to get me to work with people, similar mindset people, similar types of people, and it's going to be better. So it's the same as a broker. If I'm putting a lot of content out as a broker, and I attract buyers and sellers that see my content and be like, I like this guy, I like how he talks, I like his mentality, his mindset. I can see myself in what he says and does, and not just the real estate, but
as
the
a person,
family challenges and the other things.
It's funny because the first time I met you, I had that impression. I was like, oh, he really is like he's on his, because I had never really crossed you before. I knew who you were, but it was refreshing, because at the end of the day, it can be intimidating, meaning a broker who has so much experience, who has a lot of agents, and you coming into the mastermind and just sharing open books. I was like, that's where I want to be, because the fact that you share and all of these things, I can tell you just from me alone, it's refreshing, and it's good for everybody.
And that's what's great about the mastermind, the group that we have. Everybody amazing. There is, and these are all like top performing owners or brokers or both, and team leads and team members. Anyways, and everybody's there to share. There's no sense of competition whatsoever.
Nothing. It doesn't feel like it.
And that, if we did it on a larger scale as an industry, would solve pretty much all the problems that we have.
For sure.
From the perspective of the client to the image that they have of the industry.
And if we were united, if everybody was working together and we're not competition. There's 16,000 brokers in Quebec.
There's how many transactions per year? I was telling
67,
I think. I keep using the 90,000. Maybe
No, but I think last year was like 67 or 70.
Last year was a crappy year.
Yeah, it was. But
there's enough business.
There's enough business
for all of us multiple times, and that's what's recorded and that we know of. And so why not? Then let's end with this. Let's offer everybody that's watching that if they want to do a huge mastermind and just exchange and share, we'll set it up. Meghan and I will set it up.
Yeah,
reach out. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Someone looking wants to connect. You're on social, we said?
Yeah, so social media, Instagram, Facebook, Meghan O'Donnell.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you.